Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Welcome to 2021. We are 5 days into 2021, and who knows what it's going to bring. Just like last year in 2020, we all had these hopes and these dreams and these ambitions to get out there and make 2020 our year. And for some of us, we did that. Some of us took the reins and we didn't let anything stop us. Some of us hesitated on starting, and then we grew our momentum throughout the year. However, we all know that COVID-19 hit and we had a worldwide pandemic. We are now in 2021, January, and we still don't know what's going on. We don't know how long this pandemic is going to last, and we're really unsure if it's going to be getting better or is it going to get worse. Now, there's a lot of things that happened in 2020 for all of us, for us as a world, as a nation here in the United States, and for us as individuals. And I decided that I was going to go ahead and keep going after my dreams. I didn't want anything to stop me. And I don't want anything to stop you either. So, beaten to badass. What in the world is beaten to badass? Who am I? And why should you listen to me? Why should you join me and hear what I have to say? Well, Beaten a Badass is the name of my business, but it didn't start with a business idea. It actually started with me writing my book, From Beaten to Badass, My Journey of Broken Blessings and How I Became My Own Hero. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the video or the book in the video in the background. And if you're watching on one of the podcast platforms, please go to my website at beatentobadass.com and you can check out my book there. But that's not why I want you to listen to me. The reason why I decided to write my book was because I had so much life that I had already lived in my 36 years when I wrote my book that I thought that that was the best thing I needed to do. I needed to tell my story. I needed to share what I've been through and how I overcame so many different things that beat me down in life. All of us have a story. We all live a story, whether it's the story we thought we were supposed to live or the story that is nothing like what we thought we were going to live as a little girl or little boy. So when I was 7 years old, I had these big dreams and ambitions like most children do. I was going to be a professional golfer and I was going to be successful and famous and all of the things. However, my life didn't turn out that way. I am an author, speaker, and coach. I teach golf. I'm also a fitness professional, and it took a long time for me to get where I am today. The reason why I decided to tell my story was because I had gone through so much trauma and so many trials and tribulations throughout my life, but I never really let it hold me down. I was beaten down many times. But I always did one thing. I always got back up. For most of us, we all have moments in our life that are defining. Whether we get through it, we get stuck in it, or we're still in it. We have those moments that can make us or break us. And I had many of those moments, just like all of you. I decided to write my book because I knew that my story could help impact so many lives. I knew there were so many others out there like me that just needed a little glimpse of hope. They needed a little light in their darkness, and I wanted to be that light. So I'm Erin Baer, and I am the author of the book From Beaten to Badass. But I'm also a speaker and I'm a coach. I help people find the badass in themselves, to unleash it, to really grab a hold of it and not be afraid of it, to understand that they are not defined by their circumstances. Now, you're probably wondering, what in the world is your story? Well, that's the whole purpose of me coming on here and talking to you and really explaining who I am, what I've been through, and how maybe my story can help you. So I really want to dial it back and I want to talk about our foundation. As children, we have these dreams and aspirations. We think we're going to live this life that we've got all planned out for us. And when we become an adult or sooner, whether it's in our 20s, our 30s, maybe our 40s or 50s, we realize that the plan we laid out isn't actually the plan that happened. It wasn't the plan that was followed. It probably looks completely different than what we thought it would. And that was what it was for me. I thought I was going to be this amazing, famous female golfer, and I was going to be, always playing golf every day for years and years and years. But my life didn't turn out that way. My life turned out completely different. And I'm very blessed for the life that I have. And it's only because of the struggles that I've gone through that I'm the person I am today. We all have this inner child in us, and we all believe that this inner child is always going to be a part of us. But sometimes we lose sight of that inner child, and I lost sight of that inner child. I just want to tell you a story about myself when I was about 10 years old, when I realized when the seed of I'm not good enough was planted. Now, back in the day, I'm 38 years old today, but back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't really have the internet. We didn't have a computer. We couldn't order things online like we can today. And my parents always told me that I should make my gifts because they came from the heart and they would mean so much more. So for Christmas in 1992, I decided for my mom, I was going to make her this amazing gift, and I was going to take two of our favorite things, one of mine and one of hers, and I was going to put it together, and I was going to create this amazing, beautiful, handmade gift, and I was hoping that my mother would love it. So I grabbed a Coca-Cola can, yes, the soda, Coca-Cola, and it was an empty one, and I cleaned it, made sure it was perfect and pristine, and made sure that it had no imperfections in it. And then I took this dancing flower that I had that I really loved. It had sunglasses and a guitar, and it would, wiggle and dance to music when you turned it on. And I loved it. So I took the Coca-Cola can and I took my dancing flower, and I decided to take the dancing flower and I tore it to pieces. Took the sunglasses off, the leaves, the guitar, and I put it on the Coca-Cola can. And I called what was called the Can Man. It was called the Can Man. I was very proud of this. I wrapped it up in a package with pretty paper and a bow, and I put it under the tree waiting for Christmas morning in 1992. We were opening gifts and unwrapping presents, and it was finally my turn to give my mom my handmade gift that I spent time and love putting together, making for her. And I thought she would love it. So I handed her the gift, and I'm eagerly waiting. It's a 10-year-old girl, hoping that she loves it. My mom slowly opens the present carefully and unwraps it and opens up the box, and she takes out the Can Man, and she looks at it. She looks at me, and she proceeds to tell me it's the worst gift she's ever received. You see, she took that Can Man and she threw it in the trash right in front of me. I was broken and I was devastated. I just couldn't understand how my mom, who told me I should make my gifts, could take a gift that I spent so much time on and put so much love into, could throw it in the trash. That was the day that the seed of not being good enough was planted. Now, obviously, I didn't know this for years to come. It took me over 25 years to realize that that was the moment that that seed was planted. But from that moment, as a 10-year-old girl on that Christmas morning, I was heartbroken. And I made a decision that day that I was never going to make a gift again for anybody, because I never wanted to feel the pain and the heartache that I felt on that day. So when I had to draw or create anything that was artistic or creative, I would for class, so I could get a grade, but I wouldn't do it as an expression of creativity on my own. I wouldn't do it just for fun. And if I did draw or create something, I would do it in secrecy because I didn't want anybody to shame me for what I have created or what I have done. So that really laid a foundation for me on feeling not good enough. And anything throughout my life that would be in alignment with such an idea would allow that seed of not being good enough to grow and to mature from a seedling into a plant, like a sapling, and then finally into a big, enormous tree. And I would fall into that trap of feeling not good enough, not being good enough, whether it was I wasn't pretty enough, skinny enough, smart enough, whatever it may be. I just wasn't good enough until I was a lot older and in my 30s when I decided to start telling my story. Today, I am enough. I don't need the good, and I don't need to add any other adjective that describes who I am. I am enough. And the reason why I share this story is because I want you to think about a time in your life that maybe was defining for you, that really laid the foundation out for you not feeling good enough, or whatever it may be that you're struggling with. Because we all have a foundation, we all have that base. And it was probably something that either something happened to you or somebody said something and it planted that seed. And for me, it was simply making a gift for my mom, the can man, telling me I wasn't good enough. And it just grew into this enormous tree. And as I got older and older, it just grew and grew and grew until finally I decided, wait a minute, why do I still believe that I'm not good enough? Why am I holding on to that story? And that's where I want you to dive into your own life and find out, what is my truth? What is my foundation? What is the foundation that has set me up to be who I am? Because that's important. Because once you get to the root of your foundation, you can then either recreate your foundation or you can grow the foundation that you have. And for me, it's all about knowing who I am and that I am enough. And as all of us are, we are all badasses. We are not defined by our circumstances. So if you would like to learn more about me, you can go to my website at beatentobadass.com. That's beatentobadass.com. You can learn all about me and my book and who I am at my website. You can also follow me here where you found me, whether it's on YouTube or Anchor or any of the podcasts that my podcast is on. But I would truly love to hear from you. I want to know what your foundation is right now. Is it a foundation that you stand strongly on? Or is it a foundation that needs a little bit of repair? It needs a little love. You can write me at my email address, which is erin@beatentobadass.com. And I would love for you to share this with anybody that maybe need to hear this, that we are all enough, we are all badasses. And we just need to maybe look back at our 7-year-old, 10-year-old self to see what foundation was laid for us or a foundation that we laid for ourselves. Love to hear from you. Join me next time on Beaten to Badass. And until then, keep being a badass.